This is a bit of a long question. It's regarding the nonprofits in the city. Of course, County Executive Fitzgerald has called this week for all of these nonprofit properties to be reviewed. I'll say not reassessed. Have another look at them, determine what's nonprofit and what isn't. So, of course, just broadly, what is your position on nonprofit organizations paying property taxes or fees in lieu of taxes? Now, the person who submitted this asked in your answer, please explain how you would assure that the medical facilities, colleges and universities, religious institutions, and other tax-exempt entities pay for some of the city services that they use, whether all of an eligible entity's property should be tax-exempt, and speaking specifically on that point to parking lots and garages, the Peterson Event Center, the Columbo Center, and medical office buildings, all of which are revenue-generating sites. So, nonprofit question.
So again, we have a window of opportunity, a Supreme Court decision that has made it so that nonprofit large institutions are now looking at ways to negotiate with cities, with the county, in order to be able to come up with pilot payments. Pilot payments are good, but they're not the full answer. We should be holding, especially when it comes to hospitals, them accountable in 3 ways. Number one, in reimbursing the community financially for what basically ends up being something that's a regional attraction. Number two, being able to be accountable to the people. It shouldn't matter what card you carry, or if you don't carry a card at all. If you're a purely public charity, you serve for a social good, not for a market share or for a profit. And number 3, for the people who work there. My grandfather came to this country in 1921 from a small village in Italy. He had a 2nd grade education. My grandma had no education. She never entered a school. But they were able to raise their family during the Depression, buy a house, and later in his life, my grandfather was able to buy a car and send his youngest son to college because he had an opportunity in that mill. The mills never left. They moved up the hillsides. They're called UPMC, Carnegie Mellon, Pitt, and they need to have that same opportunity to build the middle class that my family had.
I think clearly the nonprofit community, and I think it's important before I say that, we have to define it differently. And there are nonprofits and purely public charities, and there are not. And I think this real discussion needs to take place, and I think we have to have a real discussion focused on the biggest and largest institutions, namely UPMC. And we're in the process, our administration is, of examining the opportunities that we may have to take a look at their parcels, whether it's a parking lot, a Columbo Center, a Peterson Event Center, and just like the county recently announced this week, we're doing that same work. And I think it's safe to say that you're going to be hearing from us in the very near future in that regard. The main reason I didn't vote for the Act 47 plan as it was presented is because it left the nonprofits alone. The original Act 47 plan that was drafted by our coordinators included the payroll preparation tax that now Senator Farlow has just recently introduced to be assessed not just to for-profit companies, but to nonprofit companies as well. And at the last minute, that was removed. And here we are, 6 years later, having the same fight we did then. It didn't go far enough now. And unfortunately, we are fighting a fight that is very difficult to fight when you consider their strength and you consider state law. And so from my perspective, we as a community need to do a better job of figuring out a way to get not the small not-for-profits, but those that are the large ones, to step up to the plate. And I think going forward, it is our biggest challenge, but it's also, I think, our biggest opportunity if we are going to be successful as a city going forward. They have to do more. That's just the reality of the situation.
No one likes to pay taxes, but I think everybody recognizes that what you want is that everyone's paying their fair share. And clearly, these organizations are not paying their fair share right now to the city of Pittsburgh. I'm thrilled that Senator Farlow agreed with the proposal I made years ago that we extend the payroll prep tax to the nonprofits. It's a payroll tax. It's not a property tax. I think we can survive that legally. But even if we can't and get that done in Harrisburg, there are some things that we need to do locally. And it's more than just going hat in hand to the nonprofits and begging them for money, which is what we do right now. We've got to find a way to reach out to those nonprofits and get them involved in city services that fall within their mission. Over the last couple of years, I've been working with our EMS providers, not just here in the city, but in surrounding the city, in a program that will allow Highmark and UPMC to basically fund the shortages they have for their downtime. Basically what we're going to do is we've identified, for lack of a better phrase, frequent flyers on the ambulance system. You know, people who have chronic conditions like diabetes, asthma, some congestive heart situations that are constantly calling on the ambulance service because they're not taking their medications or whatever it may be. We've identified a number of paramedics who will now go in and make preventative stops to those individuals. So that it gets them out of using the ambulance service, gets them out of the emergency room, saves money for the hospital, saves money for us, and right now UPMC and Highmark have both agreed to fund this project to the tune of $600,000 starting this year. It's probably the only thing they've agreed on this year. But it is something that we worked on because we know that we need to provide this service to the people of Pittsburgh so that when an emergency comes, it's there.
Yeah.